Hey everyone, it's Richie. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today we are looking at the new Pokemon Pocket set, Secluded Springs. It's A4A. This is the Johto mini set. That's going to be coming out really soon. I know I'm kind of late to this, but really wanted to finish up that Mega Man video. So I have decided that we're going to take a look at this today. These are all the preview cards, all the spoiler cards that were in the trailer, as well as some other promos and stuff like that. So let's take a look at it and let's see what we have to look forward to. Alright, so starting off strong here, we've got Raikou EX. So the first of the legendary dogs here that all got EXs, or rather legendary beasts. Of course, Johto's legendary beasts getting EXs are, obviously that was going to happen with this mini set. Very, very obvious. So glad to see them in the game. And some pretty interesting stuff to talk about here with all three of them. So Raikou actually has the least health of all of them at 130. The other two actually have 140, but this guy's stuck at 130. Such as the curse of being a lightning-type Pokemon, right? Despite the fact that it's at 130 HP, it actually retains the 2 retreat costs that the other two also have, which is a bit confusing to me. If you ask me, there's not really anything on this card that really hugely makes up for that 130 HP, benchmark, I guess. We have never seen a lightning-type Pokemon with more than 130 HP as a basic EX, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because Zapdos is also 130, I think. Maybe it's 140. I'm unsure, but I don't think we ever have. So yeah, Raikou EX on 130 HP is a bit odd here, but whatever. Let's keep looking at this card. So we've got Legendary Pulse here as the ability. This is an ability that all three of the legendary beasts do in fact share. I actually really, really like this ability, right? So what it does is that at the end of your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active, you get to draw a card, right? So this feels to me like a much more healthy card draw ability than the fucking demon spawn that is Sylveon, right? I hate, and I do mean I hate Sylveon so much. Sylveon was a fucking mistake to this game. I don't care what anyone says. Like, draw 2 is ridiculous. That breaks the whole game, dude. Research is already the best card in the game. We only have 20 cards in the deck, and Pokemon Pocket is a very RNG, very high variance card game. We don't even have a single true searcher in the entire game. Anything that searches the deck adds a random card. So drawing cards is incredibly broken, right? So draw 2 is just ridiculous, right? This, on the other hand, feels a lot more balanced. Because yes, it is a draw effect on a basic Pokemon, which sounds nuts at first, but it's a 130 or 140 HP EX, first of all. So it's already worth 2 prizes, which isn't great. And the draw effect procs at the end of your turn, meaning that yes, you are technically drawing 2 cards every turn instead of 1, but the second card that you draw off of this thing's ability, you can't use it during your turn because you draw at the end of your turn, right? So, I think this is much healthier for the game than Sylveon, right? Like, this is much more along the lines of how you should do card draw in a game like Pokemon Pocket, as long as you keep the game as high variance as it is with such minimal deck space. This is probably more so along the lines of how you want to do card draw. Sylveon is such an unbelievable disaster for the game. Like, dude, stuff like we've seen so much Sylveon slop here, man. Like, ever since Eevee Grove has dropped, I just have not been enjoying the game nearly as much. And I think this is going to help a lot, because now other types actually have access to some reliable card draw other than Psychic. It got to the point where you were seeing Sylveon in a bunch of other decks as well, like Stokezard plus Sylveon. It's just, that's just Sylveon slop, dude. Like, that should not, it almost reminds me of the 18 trainer days. Legit, like, that's not something that should be viable, but whatever. I mean, why do you think Espeon Sylveon is one of the best decks in the game, bro? I mean, they both evolve from Eevee, they're both Psychic type, and they draw a million cards, so, yeah, I mean, whatever. This isn't a rant about Sylveon. We're going to be talking about the new set today. So, I very much like Legendary Pulse. It feels like a much more balanced card draw effect, and I like it. And this is giving other types actual draw engines that they can play, which is good, right? Because another downside of having 20-card decks is that the vast majority of decks do not have the space to slot in a draw engine like Shiinotic, like Sylveon. But now, with cards like Raikou, Entei, and Suicune EX, they can double as good EX attackers for their respective types while also drawing cards, right? So, pretty sweet, I think. I think this is easily one of the best abilities in the game, no matter what. The second attack here we have is Voltaic Bullet for 60. Something else you'll notice across all the legendary beasts is that all of their attacks do 60 damage and they all cost 2 energy, although spoiler alert, the other EXs can hit for up to 120 and Raikou can't. So Raikou has the lowest damage potential of all of them and the lowest health. So on the surface, maybe this is the worst one, but we'll have to see. Voltaic Bullet does 60 for 2, and of course does 10 to one of your opponent's bench, so it's a snipe. And that's actually pretty significant, I think, right? The 2 energy cost isn't actually too bad with stuff like Pichu in the format letting you ramp on your first turn, as well as Zero Aura plus Energy Switch. Elemental Switch. So you can actually start attacking with Raikou, I think, somewhat soon, you know, like pretty early within the game. A lot of the times on your second turn, even if you were going first, right? So pretty sweet. There is also, of course, the upside of, like I said, Voltaic Bullet dealing 10 to the bench, which is very significant, actually, right? The Lightning type at the moment doesn't really have an energy dump. There's not really a single good late game finisher lightning card, legit. It's gone to the point where Arceus is probably one of the most popular ones, right? The most popular lightning deck right now is like Arceus Lightning Box, because Arceus is the best finisher the type has. Voltaic Bullet dealing 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench is really big for Arceus, because like, now that pushes Ultimate Force to like 140 damage, so now suddenly you can kill a vast majority of the evolutions, you can kill Darkrai, and if you ping it twice with Voltaic Bullet, then now you can take out Giratina, you can take out Flareon. With red, you can get like all the caped 140s. You can even get the caped 150s as long as you ping them twice with Voltaic Bullet. So Raikou EX being able to lower the damage threshold that you need to hit with lightning is really nice. We also have, of course, Pikachu EX in the format. Not the one that does 90 damage, but the one that has Thunderbolt for 3 for 150. Of course, that has its ups and downs compared to Arceus EX since you can only attack once. But I mean, you know, with Voltaic Bullet, now suddenly you're KOing 160 HP threats with just one with that Pikachu EX. So that could be quite significant too. Me, of course, you know, I'm biased towards Luxray as my favorite Pokemon, so I'm probably going to try to make this work with Luxray. But yeah, I think Raikou is going to be pretty legit. I think some Lightning decks are definitely going to slot this in. I don't expect this to be super meta-defining, super everywhere. It's not going to push Lightning into, like, super hyper, like, meta material. And it's nice to see Lightning get access to some draw power, as well as some pretty easy sniping. So this is a very nice card for the Lightning type to have. Very happy with it. Okay, so next up, let's take a look at Entei EX. This is a 140 HP Pokemon, so 10 more than Raikou and the same HP as Suicune. It also has Legendary Pulse, so we're drawing a card, just like Suicune, weak to water. Retreat cost of 2, everything's pretty consistent here. Only difference being the HP, of course, and Blazing Beatdown. So Blazing Beatdown is going to be doing 60 for 2, and if you got 2 extra fire, it does 120, right? So the problem with this is like 120 for 4 is not something that is particularly impressive, I think. Problem with this Pokemon is like if you commit all your energy to this, then you don't really have much energy for something in the back, right? So that being said, my immediate thought with Entei EX is like Stokezard loves this card, right? Think about it. Stokezard is already a super high roll deck, right? And it plays Sylveon because you just want to find Stokezard as consistently as possible and just stoke as quickly as possible so you can start blowing shit up, right? Maybe Entei could be a serviceable replacement for Sylveon in that deck. Maybe, right? Think about it. It takes up less Pokemon slots, and yes, it does draw less cards, but it gives you a second attacker. And the real nice part about Entei with Stokezard is that you can commit all of your energy to Entei, and it's actually fine, right? So you can actually hit that 120 benchmark with Blazing Beatdown, because Stokezard is going to have to stoke in the active for a turn no matter what. And stoke is only a 1 energy, move, right? So it's actually okay to have 0 energy on Stokezard until it hits the board. Or rather, hits the active, right? And the entire time until then, you can just slap Entei EX into the active, keep drawing cards with Legendary Pulse, and just keep attaching to Entei. I think it's going to be a very simple deck to play. And honestly, it's still going to be pretty high roll, but I would be shocked if Entei EX plus Stokezard does not pick up steam, because this looks very solid for that. Of course, the problem of Charmander start is still there, right? Because you don't get to draw cards if Entei isn't in the active, but still, I think it's going to be a pretty decent deck. Like, we're just going to have to see, is Legendary Pulse enough draw power to get Stokezard out somewhat consistently after Entei goes down? That's my question, right? If so, this is probably going to see some use. You do, of course, have the problem that your Oricorio matchup is very poor. That is a problem that the Sylveon variant also has, right? And they run Flareon to try to get around that. But honestly, I've seen some lists just accept that Oricorio is an insta-loss and just cut Flareon anyway, so I could see this deck doing the same thing. Okay, Suicune EX. This one is undoubtedly the best of the 3 legendary beasts, alright? 140 HP, 2 retreat, Legendary Pulse, just like Entei. And Crystal Waltz is kind of ridiculous, right? It deals 20 damage for each benched Pokemon, both yours and your opponent. So if you got a full bench, that's 60. If you and your opponent both got full benches, that's 120 for 2 on a basic body. Excuse me? Sure, both you and your opponent need full benches, but if that is the case, which is not infrequent, you are dealing the same energy to damage ratio as Solgaleo EX, being a stage 2 Pokemon. But this one is on a basic. Not to mention you're a water type, so you have a plethora of great support cards and energy acceleration like Misty, like Manaphy. Spoiler alert, Mantike exists now, so we'll talk about that. So think about it. Water now has a draw engine and something that can do 60 damage minimum once you fill up your bench and punishes your opponent for filling up theirs as your damage threshold increases. Because of this, I think Suicune is going to pair exceedingly well with cards like Red Card and Mars, which are already very popular, but are only going to get more popular with these 3 new draw engines in the game. Suicune punishes your opponent for benching Pokemon by increasing its damage output if you do so. But if you don't bench your Pokemon, you can red card your opponent and shuffle them all back into the deck, forcing them to find them a second time. Suicune EX, again, the best of the 3 beasts. It's going to be one of the best cards to come out of this set, no matter what. No matter what they show, this Suicune EX is going to be one of the best cards to come out of it. The combination of Suicune EX with Mantike, Water is back. It's been out of the meta for a long time because they've been making a lot of shit cards because Misty exists. This one is not a shit card, alright? Moving over to the Lati twins now, which seem pretty out of place for this expansion considering they're Gen 3, but whatever. Latios is a very simple Pokemon. It can do 40 for 1, but only if Latios is on your bench, which is actually pretty decent, right? Taking a look at Latios, thanks to its ability, if you got Latios in play, then this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So you can, attack with Latios in the early game, switch it out for Latios, and then hit for Luster Purge for 120 for big damage. But then you got to discard all of your energy, and then I guess at this point you would retreat back into Latios and keep swinging, right? Since you're a Psychic type, I mean, why not play this alongside Sylveon for more draw power? Personally, this is a gimmick. 120 and then discard all energy from this Pokemon is pretty lackluster to me. It doesn't seem like a lot of damage. It reminds me of Luxray a lot, but the difference between this card and Luxray is, well, Luxray can do 120 globally, which is a much bigger deal. Also, Electric has access to much better forms of energy acceleration compared to Psychic, which pretty much only has Giratina and Gardevoir. Of course, Latios is a basic as opposed to Luxray, but again, this is looking like a gimmick to me, man. I mean, it's a fun, cute little idea with Latios, but this is a gimmick deck. It's a meme. Don't play it. Next up is Milotic, but before we take a look at Milotic, let's take a look at Feebas. It's Magikarp. It's just another version of Magikarp, right? So not much to say about this. Magikarp is a good card because it can lead into Gyarados, and Gyarados has been out of the meta for a while, but it could come back now with all the new water support. You being 30 HP means that you want to evolve as quickly as possible, though. So that could be a bit of an issue. So it's a stage 1 with 120 HP, which is solid. Aqua Edge is 2 for 60, nothing amazing, but it's something. And Healing Ripples, right? So when you play Milotic to evolve your Feebas, you get to Lily one of your water Pokemon. Even if it's not a stage 2, you get to heal 60 damage from it, which is very significant, because you can play this with like Palkia Origin or something, or like Blastoise even, right? And you're healing a lot. Now the problem is, like I said, Feebas is usually a card that you want to evolve as quickly as possible, depending on the matchup, right? Because if Feebas gets sniped, that's a free point for your opponent, right? So you might run into a couple of matchups where it's like, if I don't evolve my Feebas, it's going to die. But if I evolve it now, I'm going to get 0 value out of Healing Ripples. So it's kind of a lose-lose scenario in a couple of matchups, I feel. However, you're not always going to be fighting some sort of bench sniper every game. So I do think that Milotic is legit. This might see some play, and personally, I hope it does, because this is more food for Luxray. You see that 120 HP stat? That's a free point, baby. Mantike. This is Water Pichu. We knew it was coming. We knew Mantike was coming. We knew it was going to have this exact effect, and yeah, here it is. Mantike with Splashy Toss. You take a water energy from your energy zone, put it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. This is really going to help Water. Like, Water is immediately viable again overnight. This is better than Manaphy. You don't need an energy, and yes, Manaphy does accelerate 2 energy, which, I mean, yeah, that's probably better. But the fact that you don't need to commit any energy to Mantike in order to start using Splashy Toss is great. The fact that you can now ramp on your first turn with it is great. The fact that it has free retreat cost is great. The baby Pokemon have already made a big splash in the format with Magby and Pichu, and they're Mantike is not going to be any different. Very quickly mentioning Slowking here, it's a complete meme. You can discard 2 Pokemon tools from your hand, does 50 damage for each card you discard this way, so it maxes out at 100 damage. Yes, it has a pretty much dedicated supporter going with it with Traveling Merchant. You could look at the top 4 cards and put all Pokemon tools you find there into your hand, so you can add 4 to your hand, you know, so you can do 100 damage twice in a row, but many other better water win conditions than this. New Fanfy pretty much is strictly worse than the old one, other than the fact that it looks pretty, which is justification enough to use it, so yeah. Stunfisk, there is nothing to talk about here. This is complete and total pack fodder. Slugma, again, nothing else to talk here. This is much worse than the other one because it's a 2 energy attacker. Miltank is hilarious. This top comment says Sweets Relay if it was bad. Well, Sweets Relay is already bad, so I don't know what to tell you. Miltank is really funny because, like, its first attack is only going to do 10, but the next one's going to do 40. Then it's going to do 70. Then it's going to do 100. Then it's going to do 130. Every single turn it uses Rolling Frenzy, as long as it does not leave the active spot, it's going to do more and more and more damage, plus 30 every time. And it's only 1 energy, so like, this seems like a pretty decent attacker. I don't know. I mean, we might just be past the point now where normal type attackers like this and Farfetch'd are good. So maybe it sees no play, but I mean, 110 HP is solid, 1 energy attack is good, and yes, it only does 10 on its first turn, but 40 followed by 70, followed by, you know, etc. I mean, pretty good, right? Hey guys, Richie from the future here, adding this in as I edit this video. You know what? I actually changed my mind. I think Miltank is going to take way too long in terms of turns to get anywhere near the same overall net damage that a card like Farfetch'd or Cyclizar would. So, yeah, don't use this shit. It sucks. And then we have this Zoroark, random Gen 5 Pokemon for no reason. And let me just say that I am incredibly, and I do mean incredibly disappointed with Zoroark. I know that this isn't the Gen 5 set, and when the Gen 5 set eventually hits Pokemon Pocket, we're probably going to get Zoroark EX with an actual proper illusion ability. But this is not it, man. Like, I want them to print a Zoroark that can disguise as one of your opponent's cards. They can take advantage of the fact that Trading Card Game Pocket is a digital game, right? And they can implement mechanics like that, right? This does not do that, right? Instead, it has the ability Illusion Trickery, where essentially, if Zoroark takes a KO with its Night Daze attack, then it is immune to damage the next turn, which is pretty cool, right? And also effects of attacks, so you can't even burn it or anything like that. It just is completely immune to anything from your opponent, right? From their active, even if they switch into something from their bench, Zoroark is completely safe from anything the next turn, if I'm reading this right. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Yeah. It's exactly how it works. With the exception of abilities like Darkrai, Nightmare Aura, of course. So that's actually a pretty cool ability. And thanks to its 70 damage, you can one-shot Oricorio, so that's pretty cool, right? This having free retreat would be like really cool, right? Maybe Crobat would play this if it has free retreat, because you can like, if they switch into their Oricorio, now you can switch into the Zoroark, one-shot the Oricorio, and now they can't even one-shot you back. And now you can free retreat back into your Crobat EX and keep hammering them, which is really cool, I think, right? So, yeah, I mean, Darkness now has a way of dealing with Oricorio without getting punished for it. That's my biggest, like, that's like the biggest boon of this card, right? Is that it can one-shot Oricorio, which for some dark decks might have been a problem. That's the reason you probably want to run Zoroark in the deck, right? So, I think the ability has some potential. Is this going to see widespread play? Probably not. But the ability is legit. Like, that actually has some potential. Cool card, overall. It's a cool card. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the cards we have gotten revealed to us so far. The set will be coming out on the 28th, and, yeah, I'll be playing it. Be trying out Luxray with Raikou first, and then I'll probably build some Suicune bullshit. That's, of course, assuming I manage to pull any of these cards. So, yeah. But, yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on all these new cards revealed so far, and stay tuned for the full set, since I'll probably be talking about that too, and if not, well, oh well. I guess I'll see you guys whenever I see you, but yeah, that's going to be it for me. Take care, and I'll see you guys around. Later.